Hello everyone, welcome to the garden. So this video is about Borinda papyrifera, the much sought after blue bamboo. Absolutely stunning plant. So I've made a few notes for this video because I really don't want to miss anything out, because I think it's quite important that I try and get everything, certainly everything I know and I've learned over the last few years about these plants. When I say few years, I've been growing one of the plants for well over 10 years in this garden. So everything in this video is based either on my own experience or talking with people like Mike Bell, who's quite well known in the bamboo world. Joss van der Palen from Kim, I had a few discussions with him about a couple of these plants, and also Chris Stapleton. And if you are aware of Borinda papyrifera CS1046, you also may know the name Chris Stapleton, who is, I've learnt so much off Chris in the last 12 months. Amazing. He is a mine of knowledge when it comes to bamboos. So what we're going to look at, the plants we're going to look at, and I'm going to use collection numbers here. If you are not familiar with collection numbers, I'll explain them as we go. So we're going to look at CS1046, which is probably the most well-known of the Borinda papyriferas. The other plant that carries the name Borinda papyrifera, which is KR3968. We're also going to look at KR7613, which used to be referred to as papyrifera, but shouldn't be. I'm reliably informed by two people. We're also going to look at, chickens are making some noise this morning. They're jumping up and down on this new feeder we've got. It's great. Right, I digress somewhat. So we're also going to look at Fargesia papyrifera, which looks like a micro-propagated plant that is currently being offered for sale at various places, and also Blue Dragon, which is another micro-prop plant which has been around for a while now. So refers to notes. A couple of things I just want to go through though. The name Borinda papyrifera, so papyrifera is Latin for giving paper. I got that gem off Chris Stapleton's bamboo identification site, so thanks for that, Chris. And that refers to the culm sheaths, because Borinda papyrifera can get big, and the culm sheaths, which is the part that drops off the culm as the branches come out the node area. Yeah, and they do get really big, and they do. It's like paper. It's great. So that's where the name comes from. Right, where did they come from? So the three plants are mentioned with numbers CS1046, KR3968 and KR7613 all came from kind of roughly the same area, which is an area called Zibenshan, which is in Yunnan in China. You might be able to find it on Google Maps. I have a map set up with a lot of different locations for where some various bamboos were found, but there's a big city called Dali, and by road it's about 250 kilometers to the west of Dali. On some of the planting records there is another place name that comes up, which is Kaojian, and I hope I've pronounced that right, but it's spelled C-A-O-J-I-A-N. Right, so the actual plants themselves, CS1046, the CS stands for Chris Stapleton. He collected the plant mid-90s, I believe, and the 1046 is the collection number. KR3968, so that's part of a big collection collected by Keith Rushforth, late 90s, early 2000s, and that whole collection totaled over 100 plants. That the collection was instigated by Liverpool University, Nest Gardens, and a guy called Hugh McAllister was involved in that. If you go back through my old videos, there's a little bit more background on that whole collection, but this one in particular, KR3968, so KR stands for Keith Rushforth, and 3968, as in the other plant, is just a collection number, and then KR7613, another Keith Rushforth collected plant. So yeah, that is a little bit of background on the plants, and I need to stop talking and we need to go and look at some plants. Now, one other thing I wanted to mention before we go and look at the plants is the difference, a key difference between Borinda and Fargesia, because the genus Borinda was introduced by Chris Stapleton, or proposed, I think that's the way it's put, by Chris Stapleton mid-90s to to separate some plants out of the genus Fargesia. Now, if you're fortunate to have both Fargesias and Borindas in your garden like I have, one thing you'll notice with Borinda, and I don't know if you're going to be able to see it on the video, if I can get a bit closer and try and get my phone to focus. Yeah, there are, I think the correct term is longitudinal ridges which run between the nodes. And if you get your fingernail on them, you may be able to see them. If I can just get my phone to focus, you can probably just see the faint ridges that run between the nodes. And if you get your fingernail on them, well, I haven't got any fingernails, but you can actually feel them if you scrape the culm. Now, if you've got a Fargesia and you do the same thing, you'll find it's quite smooth. You know, you can probably see it quite well there. So yeah, that is a good, oh, I guess a little bit of a tip to identify a Borinda versus a Fargesia. So this is my original plant of Borinda papyrifera CS1046. I think we planted it around 2013, this. I've been taking quite a few divisions off it because it's got really crowded at the base. And also the new culm colour is quite light green in some cases, which is probably due to it getting shaded by some of these branches that hang over. And we'll go and look at another one which is quite different, bottom end of the garden shortly. I have thinned this plant out quite considerably, and I am going to carry on doing that as well. Probably mid-August will be the next time I take some divisions off it, but I am going to take section this side and some off that side. I did it last year and it has made a significant difference in that it started to grow a little bit more open now. You can see just down this area here now where the culms have started growing away a little bit. So the plan is to leave just one central plant and then build it up with heaps of manure, and I'm probably actually going to dig this area over here and put another division in, so we've got two quite close together. But yeah, it is quite crowded really, and it's not achieving the sort of culm thickness this plant is capable of doing. It can get quite big. So yeah, I've got a lot of work to do on that. It's worth mentioning as well that it is hard work dealing with this plant, with it being so congested, and the rhizome, which I've got some rhizome knocking about from a failed division. Yeah, it takes some doing. There's next door's dog. Yeah, hard work, but well worth it. So this is a division I did off the plant we've just looked at. I did it late last year. You can see how crowded out it was there, but yeah, it's done okay. And it's in a really sheltered area of the garden, this. Nice new culm there. I've just noticed it is growing quite well in this bed. It's actually in a little raised bed. So it's growing in a sheltered area of the garden. I forgot to mention CS1046 was collected at an altitude of 3,100 metres, and if you have a winter like December 22-23, it can, you know, really take its toll on this plant, and I can demonstrate that on the next plant we'll look at. But this is a really sheltered area, and I used to have KR7613 growing in this spot, but it's kind of has more of a weeping habit, that, so when it rained it was quite difficult to get past it. But CS1046 is a lot more upright, so it should do well in this spot. Pleased to see it going so well though, and it'd be quite easy to get divisions off this because, like I say, it is in a raised bed, and I can take this front piece off as I have done in the past, and it's just going to look really good against that brick wall and our Manchester bee. So So I'm right at the bottom of the garden now, and this is just amazing. This is yeah, again CS1046. I'm gonna have to climb around, and the colour on the new culms is just absolutely stunning. So this is growing as it should do, very upright. I mean, they are a good size as well. Really, really nice. Yeah, some nice new culms. So that is, I'm going to take this one out this year. It's getting a bit tatty now. Some of the original culms. So December 22, 23, weather station at the top of the garden, which and it's significantly colder down here, recorded -11. It's quite a well-known winter, that, I think, a lot of people. Something like 13 days when it was under, well, freezing. And just look at that, it's just amazing. And that year, you can see there, I think it put this plant, one there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, there was 5. It put 5 amazing culms. They were really thick. You can see what I was talking about earlier on that old culm. Yeah, put up 5, or was it 4? Can't remember. Absolutely amazing culms. Just move back a little bit. And then those fresh culms, we actually lost them that winter. I did leave them on till actually quite a way through 2023 in the hope that they might just come back, but they just went white and died off. So yeah, a winter like that can take its toll on CS1046. And you know, it was only the fresh culms that got hit, like this one. And this one actually is from last year, so it put up, yeah, it put up 2 more culms last year, that one. So it took a little bit of time to recover as well. But this year it's looking quite good. There's about 5 or 6. I don't know if I'm going to keep this plant in this area. I might dig it up and divide it and plant it elsewhere. I don't know yet. I've not made my mind up. I may plant KR7613 here. So there, that reminds me, yeah, I remember talking to Jos van der Palen. So he's in the Netherlands, and he said to me in an email, he does not grow CS1046 because they've lost it too many times. And that's in a garden where Phyllostaches are huge, because they get the heat in the summer, but also really cold winters. So yeah, it is a watch out, because you know, these plants are expensive, and you know, you don't want to lose it if we have a cold winter. The first plant we looked at was actually fine. That's a lot more established as well, and possibly a little bit more sheltered. It's about, you know, it's further up towards the house. But one thing I did learn from December 22 and January 23 was where the really cold bits are in my garden, and this is one of them for sure. So this is a CS1046 piece of rhizome. So, you know, I've been making divisions from my main plant, and that's what you've got to get through. It's quite tough. Anyway, the next plant is KR3968. So this is a fairly recent division, hence it being held together with plastic straps. So this plant was found or collected around about 3,300 metres, as opposed to CS1046, which was 3,100 metres. From talking to people, that does seem to have a bearing on its hardiness, and people are able to grow this plant where CS1046 has failed. So I've got this one here, which, like I said, is a recent division. I've got a couple in pots as well. I'm going to plant one down at the other end of the garden in the cold bit, based on it being known to be hardier. I mean, when I say hardy, you know, CS1046 is hardy. It's only if we have you know, really cold winters like we had December 22, 23, and even then you're not going to lose the plant, it'll just set it back a little bit. But one thing that distinguishes 3968 from CS 1046, I probably can't see it that well on here unless I get the hand out of the way, is the colour of the new culms that are a deep purple colour. You know, CS 1046 is more green with, oh, they're just amazing colour, but it's a lot lighter. But then saying that, this is another new culm, and that's very green. But I do notice that on recent divisions of plants, the culm colour can vary. The small culms that come out in that first year when you divide them can vary a little bit. There's a couple of KR 3968 here, you can probably see. Hello chickens, see the colour of the culms there. Now because I haven't got a decent sized plant of this growing in the ground, I did a little video at a friend of mine's, because he has one of these and it's looking really good, and it does demonstrate the culm colour far better than I can looking at these in pots and the plants in my garden. So let's take a look. This is another division of KR 3968. Amazing culm size. There's nothing really going on at the moment, but plenty of leaves on it. And it is next to KR 7615, which is another plant for the Z Benshan area as well, but not featured in this video. I actually planted a small piece of this at the bottom of the garden. I didn't think it was going to take, and I noticed the other day it's got a little shoot on it, so happy days. So that's not Borinda papyrifera at all, actually Yunnan too. But here is KR 7613. So yeah, this, when I bought this plant, it was called Borinda papyrifera KR 7613, and then I noticed there's a reference by Mike Bell in a Bamboo Society newsletter 2012 where he said it should not be used, the name should not be used. And then also Jos van der Palen in a recent email said it is a different species, hardier. He also mentioned it's prone to mealybugs, but absolutely stunning culm colour. The culm sheaths are amazing, absolutely brilliant, and it is has a little bit more of like a weeping habit than CS 1046 and KR 3968. And for me, I've had this plant in the garden during December 22, January 23 winter, and it was fine. And I moved it last year, and it's really come back quite well. I've got a couple of these planted around the garden. Recently planted one in the front as well, which is quite a big plant. So yeah, I know it's not Borinda papyrifera, but if you can find it, grow it, because it's absolutely stunning. And it really doesn't matter if it is an actual papyrifera or not. It's just an absolutely stunning plant. And without doubt, probably one of my favourites. Try and get some the leaves out of the way. Yeah, that is amazing. So I've just stopped by this plant. This isn't Borinda papyrifera, but I want to give it a mention because it's significant because of the altitude it was found at. So CS1046, 3,130 metres. KR3968, 3,275. 7613 we've just looked at, 3,225. 7615, which is actually growing not far from where I'm sat, 3,200. This is 7662. So these are all from the Z Ben Shan area. All have amazing comb colours, and they've all got varying degrees of blueness. But this one's 2,950, so under 3,000 metres, so lower altitude than CS1046. So it is planted in this bed, which is fairly close to the house, so hopefully it'll be fine. But yeah, it's like growing plants from, I guess the whole range is like 400 metres difference, 300, 400 metres difference. So these two plants that I have growing in pots are, so this first one, papyrifera. Seems to be a few of these for sale at the moment. It's actually KR6438. Why they chose this one? Because it does look micro-propagated. If you look at it, it's really hard to get to divide bamboos to produce that kind of really skinny growth. I have seen a couple of photos of it and it does look okay, but they do look to have been touched up a little bit for the sake of marketing. I have actually seen quite a mature plant of this, the 6438, down at Mike Bell's in Cornwall, and it wasn't very blue. So if you bought one of these, but that, you know, that might be down to growing conditions, I don't know. It'd be interesting to see how people get on with it. It seemed to be an odd choice for micro propagation because there are some better plants from what I've seen, and that's really just based on that one plant I've seen, which is quite a mature plant. And if you go back through my videos, you'll find a video about it. And then the second one is the plant known as Blue Dragon. Now, this is the second one I've had because the first one died. That's the label off the first plant. Chris Stapleton makes reference to it in on his bamboo identification website. Says it's of unknown origin. Somebody did tell me it was derived from CS1046, but also Chris also mentions that it doesn't seem to do that well unless in near perfect conditions. I've not actually heard of anybody, I've not heard of many people. I have heard a couple of people growing it okay, but I don't think it's, I've not heard of anyone getting it to the sort of size that Borinda papyrifera is capable of. But I say this is the second one I've got, and both these I'm just going to keep them in pots for a while and see how they get on. Because from what I've seen of this plant, I've got so many bamboos here and so many things I want to grow in the garden. If I looked at after looking at the original plant, I'm kind of like struggling to find a space for it, let's say, due to me having so many other plants that I prefer. So that's it, I reckon. Probably get everything I wanted to say into this video. If I've missed anything, when I watch it later, I'll stick it in the notes. But yeah, great plants. Just try and find them. They're always in short supply, so you know, keep hunting. I'm possibly going to have some divisions next year. But yeah, keep hunting. If you can find them, grow them, because they're absolutely amazing. Cheerio.